Order! Order in the court! Today, we are sentencing the most nefarious group of criminals to ever sail the Grand Line. We, the court of Enies Lobby, on behalf of the prosecution, the world government, hereby pronounce the Straw Hat Pirates, Monkey D. Luffy, Roronoa Zoro, 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚗𝚍, Cat Burglar Nami, Tony Chopper, Nico Robin, Cutty Flam, aka Cyborg Frankie, Soul King Brook, and former warlord Jinbei, guilty of everything: theft, kidnapping, murder. Death is too lenient a punishment for them, so these criminals will be locked up in Impel Down, and Monkey D. Luffy don't even think about another prison break. We've upgraded security, and the warden will be keeping a close eye on you in the newly constructed level 7, which, Straw Hat, I assure you, is a very, very bad place with no meat at all. The time you will all spend there totals 7,821 years. It is the list of all crimes committed by the Straw Hat Pirates.
Wow, I mean, what exactly did the Straw Hats do to get a sentence like this? Well, we've done extensive research, like a stupidly huge amount of research that will forever tarnish all of our Google search results to find out what amount of jail time real-life criminals would have gotten for equivalent crimes where they are applicable at least. So here's the complete list of all crimes committed by the Straw Hat Pirates and how many years of prison they get for each of them. Starting with Captain Monkey D. Luffy, son of Dragon the Revolutionary, who already at the young age of 7 committed the crime of grand larceny when he stole and consumed an exceedingly rare and extremely valuable devil fruit from the Emperor of the Sea, red-haired Shanks. 6 years in prison. Grand larceny, by the way, which I've heard in like a million TV shows, apparently means theft or something worth a total of $50,000 or more. And a devil fruit like Luffy's definitely does seem rare and expensive enough to qualify here. Next, Roronoa Zoro. Once a quite promising bounty hunter working against the pirate scum, it does seem like he changed his ways when he murdered a dog belonging to the Lieutenant Commodore Helmeppo of the Marines. And in the court of public opinion and that of John Wick, murdering a dog is an even more heinous action than killing a human, so 10 years in prison. And then during Zoro's subsequent imprisonment, Luffy illegally freed him, a crime also worthy of 5 years in prison. He then resisted arrest, and this will be a common theme in this video, as you'll see. They resist arrest just about everywhere that they go, and so an additional year for each of them. Now, both of these pirates assaulted multiple officers of the law at 2 years per Marine punched, an additional 20 years just here. And on top of it all, Luffy destroyed public property in the form of a giant statue of Captain Axe-Hand Morgan, 10 years on top of it. So yeah, settle in everyone, because that's 53 years already, and we've barely even gotten started, let me tell you. Because now, Cat Burglar Nami. Don't think we've forgotten about her for petty theft of a Grand Line map from Buggy the Clown, 1 year. And that's of course in addition to stealing a boat from his crewmates in what amounts to Grand Theft Naval, 2.5 years. Did you know that Grand Theft Auto actually does include boats? Who knew? Fun fact. But that's not to mention another instant of Grand Theft Naval against her own soon-to-be crewmate on the Baratie. Another 2.5 years, and Nami also assaulted an officer of the Marines in Kokoyashi Village. That's another 2 years. Now, of course, that's not to mention the 100 million berries that the cat burglar stole all across the Grand Line, and while these berries were themselves stolen from pirates, stealing is wrong, and the world government just wouldn't tolerate any kind of that behavior. And that's the crew's second instance of grand larceny, which makes for an additional 6 years. And then Vinsmoke Sanji. As a chef on the floating restaurant Baratie, he assaulted a ranking Marine officer, Lieutenant Commodore Fullbody, so that gets him 2 years. And also on the Baratie, I have reports that Straw Hat Luffy caused property damage by firing a cannonball into the restaurant, and that he also broke many dishes and snuck several plates of food out without paying for them. However, Seth decided not to press charges, so I guess, well, no worries here. But then, in Loketown, the entire Straw Hat crew, consisting of 5 members at this point, once again resisted arrest, this time by Captain Smoker. And that's 2 years for each of them, so an additional 10 years. That's already 79 years in Impel Down, and the Straw Hats haven't even arrived on the Grand Line yet. And once the Straw Hats do arrive in the Grand Line, their crimes became much grander as well. Now, I will dismiss Roronoa-Zoro's 100 murders on Whiskey Peak due to that being a case of self-defense, I guess. However, that doesn't make things any better for the crew. After arriving in the Sakura Kingdom, formerly known as Drum Island, the crew committed treason against the world government by deposing Walpole, Drum's sovereign ruler. And that's just going to be the first of many life sentences for Straw Hat Luffy, and we're just going to say that a life sentence in One Piece is exactly 100 years, since the lifespans are a little bit different than in the real world. Also, I want to say I'm 100% now on some list somewhere after googling how many years in prison I might get for punching various world leaders. I mean, please remind me to burn my laptop after I finish recording this. Then in the Kingdom of Alabasta, Monkey D. Luffy and his crew of 5 additional pirates are each charged with resisting arrest twice, once in Nanohana and again in the city of Rainbase. 20 years that is in total. And that's not to mention the immense property damage they caused in the capital of Arubama, so 1 year for that. Oh, as well as damage caused to the Tomb of the King, a certified historical site, so an additional year for that. Oh yeah, and of course then there is the defeat of Sir Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea employed by the world government, a crime for which there is actually very little precedent. And we'll say that a warlord is worth half a monarch, I guess, so 50 years. And on top of it, there was the worst crime of all, dining and dashing in Nanohana, which is yet another year. Then, upon fleeing from Alabasta, they once again evaded capture, but this time they fled the scene with the aid of a vehicle. And this actually leads to a harsher sentence due to the expenditure of government resources in the pursuit, as well as the increased danger to law enforcement and civilians. And so that's 6 years for each crew member, which now includes Nico Robin, so that's another 36 years. Which, if you've kept track, now brings the total charges to 288 years in prison. Starting to sweat yet, Straw Hats? Because this is just a drop in the bucket. Let's proceed with the next charges. On the island of Jaya, Monkey D. Luffy is guilty of aggravated assault against Bellamy the hyena. It just goes to show that no matter how punchable someone's face is, you just can't go around one-shotting people left and right, so 5 years for that. And yes, Skypiea is not a member state technically of the world government, but the Straw Hats also wreaked havoc above the clouds. To begin with, they denied paying the entrance fee of 1 billion X-tolls, so 1 year for bypassing tolls and trespassing. They also assaulted many officers of the law here, including Nami ramming the captain of the White Barracks with a vehicle called a waiver. So 6 years for assaulting an officer and an additional 7 for vehicular assaults. And in addition to all of this, the Straw Hats also trespassed into the restricted location called the Upper Yard in an example of illegal border crossing, so 1 more year for that. And then on the shipwright island of Water 7, Cyborg Frankie committed grand larceny once again when he stole 200 million berries from, the Straw Hats before he joined them, I guess. You know what? There's actually a surprising amount of inter-crew theft happening with the Straw Hats here. I mean, only 2 times so far, but it's kind of weird that it happened twice. 6 years for that. And then, what do we have here? Assaulting officers of the world government. For Luffy, Zoro, and Frankie, attacking ZP9 special agents in Water 7, 6 years. And then we have a case of destruction of property, where it seems that Luffy and Zoro demolished 2 buildings on Water 7 during a natural disaster. Turns out that these pirates are even more destructive to Water 7 than the Agua Laguna. That will be an additional 5 years. And then next on the sea train known as the Puffing Tom, Vinsmoke Sanji and Cyborg Frankie disposed of several Cypher Pole agents again, including Jerry of CP6, Wanse of ZP7, and Nero of CP9. And in pursuit on a second train, Roronoa-Zoro defeated the late Vice Admiral T-Bone, so 8 more years for that. Which now brings us right here to the newly reconstructed Enies Lobby. Do you have any idea what the construction costs are to place a building over a giant gaping hole in the ocean? It's quite expensive. Now, on the former old Enies Lobby, all 8 of the Straw Hats resisted arrest. That's 8 years. All of them assaulted multiple marine officers at an average of 5 soldiers and agents attacked per crew member. That's an additional 80 years on top. Then freeing a prisoner is worth an additional 5 years. So for freeing both Cyborg Frankie and Nico Robin, that's a another 10 in total. Oh, and oops, how could I forget the big one? Because for illegal declaration of war against the world government, each member of the Straw Hats earns an additional life sentence of 100 years. And I think another 800 years in Impel Down should give them plenty of time to reflect on their actions so far. Now, for anyone keeping track, that makes the total charges thus far 1,230 years. And you may think, what's the point of even going further? Well, surely the Straw Hats will all rot in jail if they're there that long. Well, I do regret to inform you that this is still nothing compared to the heinous crimes to come yet. Like the 50 years they get for taking Gekomoria out of commission on Thriller Bark. But even that is nothing, because then, oh then, we do go to Sabaody Archipelago. Punching the king of a member nation of the world government like Walpole is one thing, but the punching of 𝚎𝚐𝚐𝚗𝚍, a celestial dragon and a god, that is 200 years. Oh, and of course there's the 16 years per crew member for resisting arrest once again. Oh, and an additional year will be tacked on for inciting a riot, because that was a real mess that Kizaru and Kuma had to clean up there. Then after Sabaody Archipelago, Luffy booked a direct flight to Amazon Lily that he didn't pay for, the Island of Women, where he engaged in the high crime of being a man. Now, how many years does a person get in prison for being a man? Well, I'm just gonna say like 20 years. 20 years for being a man. Oh, and Frankie blew up one of Dr. Vegapunk's old labs on Baltimore, so that's another 2. And then from one place where Luffy was absolutely not supposed to be, he went straight to a place he even more was absolutely not meant to be, and it says here on my forums that he single-handedly conducted the largest breakout in the entire history of Impel Down. The charge for freeing a prisoner is actually 5 years, as we've covered earlier, and it says here that you've freed 241 prisoners. Let's see, 241 times 5, carry the 1. That's another 1,205 years in prison, Luffy. Of course, Straw Hat then went straight to the Marineford War. He dropped a marine ship onto the battlefield, damaging government property to the tune of 10 years. He freed yet another prisoner, Portgas the Ace, for another 5, which now comes to a total of 2,739 years in prison. And then, oh wow, I'm impressed. This pirate crew somehow managed to lay low and didn't commit any crimes for 2 entire years. I mean, if they'd waited about like 3 more years, they could have beaten the statute of limitations on some of these previous charges, but nope, they just can't help themselves. Pirates just love committing crimes, don't they? Because upon the Straw Hats' return to Sabaody, they straight up destroyed government property in the form of several pacifista robots, and what a shocker, all 9 crew members resisted arrest. That's another 28 years. After that, it appears that the crew traveled beneath the Red Line to Fishman Island, where they committed a coup d'etat, tying up the monarch of Fishman Island, King Neptune, and taking over the castle. For this attempted government takeover of a member nation of the world government, only 20 years? That's very little. Oh, that's because King Neptune decided not to press charges, but this offense against the government will not be tolerated at the brand new Enies Lobby number 2. Next, in the laboratory on Punk Hazard, the Straw Hats destroyed scientific property, as well as committed aggravated assault against the scientist Caesar Clown. That will be an additional 7 years. And then moving over to Dressrosa, Luffy defeated Don Quixote Doflamingo. And Doflamingo was not only a warlord, he was the king of a world government member state. And on top of that all, he was a celestial dragon. And that means that his defeat has earned Luffy a combined 350 additional years in level 7 of Impel Down. Oh, yeah, and what happens everywhere this crew goes? They resisted arrest, attacked Marines, they incited riots and rebellions, 10 years for each Straw Hat crew member. And then next, on the island of it appears that the Straw Hats defied all logic and expectations and did not commit any crimes on the island of Zou. Unbelievable. But next, after leaving Zou, the crew then determined to invade 2 Emperor territories, those of Big Mom and and Kaido respectively. Now yes, those are not member states of the world government, however, 𝙻𝚎𝚐𝚐 agents were present on both occasions to observe the crimes of all of the Straw Hats, which were shockingly similar in both territories. In both cases, the Straw Hats committed illegal border crossings, 1 year each for the 10 crew members, and in both cases, crew members stole large amounts of food, 1 year. Monkey D. Luffy caused immense property damage, 5 years. For inciting rebellion against the government of Wano country, 10 years. For aggravated assault against many individuals, 50 years. And for wedding and or party crashing, let's just say 1 more year for good measure. Oh yeah, and for creating a power vacuum in the entire world power by defeating Big Mom and Kaido, an additional 200 years. Yeah, I mean, they are not world government kings, but they were crucial to balancing the complex forces of the world, and that balance is now completely out of the window. Which now brings us to Egghead Island, the government-owned lab run by Dr. Vegapunk, the government scientist. And for the combined crimes of resisting arrest, attacking marine officers, breaking into a top-secret government facility, and aiding a known criminal in the form of Dr. Vegapunk who defied government orders, you have all earned an additional 150 years. Oh, and for attempting to attack one of the 5 Elder Stars, J. Garcia Saturn, another 300 years. But if you thought that was everything, there are of course also a few other high crimes that the Straw Hats have committed. One, for flying the Jolly Roger and acting in defiance of the world government, 10 years for each Straw Hat crew member, so 100 years. And in addition to that, there's also a 100-year life sentence for Nico Robin for possession of state secrets due to her ability to read the poneglyphs.
So far, that brings us to 4,171 years of rotting away in Impel Down. Plenty of time for these pirates to soak in the guilt of their actions until their dying breath. Except perhaps the skeleton. Does he even breathe? Of course, I let one crime out. The long-nosed one, Captain Usopp. Wait, do they have 2 captains? Oh, he goes by God now. Very humble. Anyway, Usopp, the false reporting of a crime such as that pirates are attacking your village is a misdemeanor offense punishable by up to 1 year in prison. Evidently, you did this every single day for 10 years, which adds up to 3,650 years in prison. This brings each of your years in the depths of Impel Down to 7,821 years, though I have heard rumors that this man has even allied himself with the giants of Elbaf. And so before I can dismiss this court to see the true threat that these pirates are, we are next going to watch this video right here about all the things that will happen on the island of Elbaf.